to get that daily news. I ain't watching TV, I'ma log on to YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Talking about that raw, uncut news. You a fool. You believe in mainstream and local news. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And 411, keep the 411. On a sensitive subject, keep it 100. Don't bite no tongue. If you cannot take the truth, then this is finna hurt. Who's to say if it's a round or a flat earth? Stick to the facts. What's some feelings? I don't do no capping. Read that paper, seen that news. Now you know what happened. Playing a pretty picnic, but they control that weather. Same crisis actors, like we don't know no better. Thing about the truth always come to the light. Problem is too many, all bark, no bite. Like muscle, no might. I don't know what happened to them, but I know the way they said somebody ain't right. It's time to get that daily news. I ain't watching TV, I'ma log on to YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.
And check out this headline from the LA Times. Make America California again? That's Biden's plan. The paper explains how the Golden State is emerging as a, quote, de facto policy think tank for the Biden team. Jesse, I wanted to start with you and just say, it seems to me a new president implementing new plans. What's the surprise there? I mean, isn't that to be expected, that elections have consequences and a new guy's going to have a new agenda?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kamala Devi Harris, do solemnly swear.
Kamala Devi Harris, do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
The duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Make America California again. That's Biden's plan. Now, we're told that the Biden team will make climate policy a priority. Whoa, watch out. California's climate initiatives produced blackouts, wildfires, and the most expensive gasoline in the country. Then there's immigration. California is a sanctuary state. It is home to an estimated 3 million illegals. That is a mess, created in part by Javier Becerra, our HHS secretary. Here are some of the other things he says he's going to do through executive action. Extend the pause on federal student loan payments, rejoin the Paris Climate Accords, reverse the Muslim travel ban, launch the 100-day mask challenge, halt evictions and foreclosures. He's also considering canceling the Keystone Pipeline permit.
That Joe Biden is not a moderate, that this will be a very left-wing, far left-wing radical agenda that Joe Biden and the Democrats bring, and boy, are they doing it. So let's talk about, on Thursday, obviously, we had the $1.9 trillion spending debt bomb on top of the $900 billion we just passed. And then last night, we get the news that that Joe Biden wants to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. By the way, so people understand, Stuart. That's the pipeline that brings the oil and gas from Canada and the Dakotas all the way down to Texas and throughout the country. It's a vital infrastructure project. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart. I thought Joe Biden said he was for infrastructure, but he wants to cancel a major infrastructure project that could be $5 to $10 billion in economic development and thousands of jobs. I don't understand it. I think climate change obsession by the left is trumping their concern about jobs and wages for Americans. And you're right, the two of the top priorities are both anti-America priorities, putting America back in the Paris Climate Accord, which, by the way, China doesn't have to comply with for another 10 years, but it kneecaps our oil and gas industry. And I want to say another thing about these pipelines, because this is a really important issue with respect to our energy and national security. So Joe Biden is saying we can't build pipelines in the United States. Meanwhile, Stuart, on the other side of the globe, China and Russia are building a $10 billion pipeline to pipeline the oil and gas from Russia to China. So our two enemies can build pipelines so they have energy, but we're canceling ours. Does that make any sense to you, Stuart? I mean, really?
No.
We know his disdain for our own military leaders and our veterans. Just last year, the Defense Department reported that climate change is a direct threat to more than 2/3 of the military's operationally critical installations. That's what the military warned him. And this could well could be a conservative estimate. Donald Trump's climate denial may not have caused these fires and record floods and record hurricanes. But if he gets a second term, these hellish events will continue to become more common, more devastating, and more deadly. The challenge before us right now is still immense and growing. There's a need for bold action to fight this pandemic. We're still facing a very dark winter.
After the president spent months downplaying masks, Biden is now trying to reset the conversation.
I want to be very clear. The goal of mask wearing is not to make your life less comfortable. It's to give something back to all of us, a normal life.
Urging Americans to come together and do their part.
We could save tens of thousands of lives if everyone would just wear a mask for the next few months. Not Democrat or Republican lives, American lives.
With Housing Secretary Ben Carson, a doctor and member of the president's COVID panel, and David Bossie, who's leading the president's election legal team, among at least 9 people in Trump's circle to be diagnosed in recent days. The president himself largely out of sight since
we can get this virus under control, I promise you. We can rebuild our economy back better than it was before.
Before things returned to the relative calm, and here on the National Mall, it's been completely blocked to any public access. It's only a few media outlets along the edges that are allowed to be in here after Secret Service vetting ourselves, and the flags are put in place to try and give that idea of a presence of the American people when they can't come here in person. There's also representation of the flags of 50 different states. That each of those 25,000 National Guard who are going to be protecting the city for that inauguration are being vetted themselves for the fear that there might be extremists among their ranks. So this is a chance that those intelligence agencies aren't willing to take and show just how serious things are.
Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has urged the incoming US administration under Joe Biden to make major reforms to its immigration policy. His appeal comes as a new caravan of migrants from Honduras attempts to make its way through Guatemala. But Guatemala's foreign minister has said allowing them to cross through his country and reach a potentially closed border with Mexico would create a humanitarian crisis. And he's asking Honduras to help organise for their return.
What started as a deterrent soon turned into a real use of force. On Monday, Guatemalan security forces dispersed thousands of Honduran migrants. They're stranded in the department of Chiquimula, but want to continue their journey towards the United States. It's the third time in recent days that soldiers have clashed with the caravan of migrants, which includes women and children. Guatemala's government accuses the caravan of being infiltrated by criminal gangs, and says most of the migrants did not have the negative coronavirus tests required to enter the country. Now they're being sent back to Honduras, even though they insist there is no home for them to return to. I don't want to go back. I lost everything in that country. The clashes with Guatemalan troops have sparked new tensions between the two Central American neighbours. Honduras's Human Rights Commissioner urged Guatemala to treat the migrants on their soil with respect. Now all eyes are on Mexico and how the government there will react if the caravan manages to cross Guatemala and reach its border. The migrants are not expected to give up their mission. After all, it is the incoming US administration that is fueling their hopes. Joe Biden, who's due to take office on Wednesday, promised during his campaign to reform the strict migration policies imposed by his predecessor, Donald Trump.
Once again, Central America's poorest and most vulnerable are met by the full might of the region's security forces. Between 6,000 and 9,000 migrants fleeing a dire combination of poverty, drug gang violence and hurricane damage have been received in Guatemala by batons, riot shields and tear gas. The clashes took place in the Chiquimula department as the caravan of migrants pushed north in an effort to first reach Mexico and then the United States. They set off several days ago from San Pedro Sula in Honduras, a hastily organised group of men, women and children exhausted after their crops and livelihoods were destroyed by hurricanes Eta and Iota in November. Already they've progressed further than most. Recent migrant caravans haven't managed to leave the borders of Honduras, but over the weekend this group made it into neighbouring Guatemala. However, the Trump administration has placed huge pressure on regional governments to clamp down hard on migrant caravans, and although the group crossed the border, the Guatemalan military have little intention of letting them pass.
We were informed last night that elements of the Honduran Maras gangs and organised crime had infiltrated the group. This worried us, but fortunately the law enforcement officers had a contingency plan for these cases and controlled this. It was a battle.
For those determined to continue, this is what awaits them in Mexico. On the other side of the Suchiate River, the border with Central America, a huge deployment of National Guard has been sent to ensure this latest caravan gets no further. With the Trump administration just days away from leaving office, this group of weary, poor immigrants is a powerful symbol of one of the priorities which his successor Joe Biden must address.
Outnumbered and facing thousands of people determined to enter Guatemala. It doesn't take long for these Hondurans to push through the lines of soldiers at Guatemala's eastern Omoa border and press on. Their aim? To reach the United States. Thousands of people had left San Pedro Sula in western Honduras by foot on Wednesday. It's not far from the border, but the journey was made longer as they avoided a large mountain range. They say they are desperate. Honduras's economy was hit hard during the pandemic that has killed more than 2,000 people. Some say they had little choice, leave or face starvation.
There is nothing here. We're dying of starvation. There are no jobs. We'll see. We have to fight to get to the US.
It's the first large group of people to leave Honduras this year, and the largest migrant caravan in Central America since the coronavirus pandemic hit in March. As people reached Guatemala, they were greeted with a sign reading, "Welcome to Guatemala." But these people are hoping they won't be there for long. A regional agreement allows Hondurans to transit through Guatemala, but they are expected to be processed at the border. Many were held up after not presenting IDs or asked for proof of a negative coronavirus test before entering. But many ignored the formal crossing, instead illegally breaching the border nearby. And the US Embassy in Honduras warned it would be more difficult than ever for people to enter illegally into the United States. Although these people are determined to find a better life in the US, with its asylum system practically shut down during the pandemic, their future remains uncertain.
Armed with batons and riot shields, Guatemalan security forces cleared hundreds of mostly Honduran migrants from this road where they'd camped out after being prevented from passing through into Mexico and on towards the United States.
y ellos los han maltratado, los han tratado hasta de perras, váyanse para su país, no es justo eso.
Les pedimos de por favor que los manden si quieren un comidita pues, porque tenemos niños, llevan hambre, llevan frío, no tenemos nada.
Guatemalan authorities have tried several times to break up the caravan which left Honduras on Friday. Many of the 8,000 migrants who make up the group say they're fleeing poverty, unemployment and gang violence, as well as the aftermath of 2 devastating hurricanes in a country that's also been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Mexican president has warned migrants not to try to enter any country by force. He's also urged Joe Biden to address immigration in his inauguration speech on Wednesday. The US president-elect has pledged to take a more humane approach to the issue than his hardline predecessor, who'd piled pressure on Guatemala, Honduras and Mexico to crack down on illegal immigration.
President Joe Biden signed 15 executive orders on day one, impacting every part of the country, but especially Texas. Many are focused around immigration, including preserving and fortifying protections for the more than 700,000 Dreamers in the country. The Trump administration had fought in the Supreme Court to end DACA, but failed. Biden is asking Congress for a long-term solution to keep the program out of executive order limbo. He also stopped construction on the border wall, changed ICE policies, and will begin counting non-citizens in the U.S. Census again. On the environment, he's signing orders revoking the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline, a multi-billion-dollar project designed to carry oil from Alberta, Canada, down to the Texas Gulf, and getting rid of oil and gas leases on protected federal lands. He'll also rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement to lower greenhouse gas emissions and help stop global warming. For COVID-19, Biden's orders will extend the eviction and foreclosure moratoriums, continue the pause on student loan payments till October, rejoin the World Health Organization, and require masks and distancing in federal buildings and on federal lands. The impact of all of it remains to be seen, but it's a clear sign of where the new president's priorities lie.
Like we don't know no better. Thing about the truth always come to the light. Problem is too many, all bark, no bite. Like muscle, no might. I don't know what happened to them, but I know the way they said, somebody ain't right. It's time to get that daily news. I ain't watching TV, I'm a log on the YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Talking about that raw, uncut news. You a fool. You believe in mainstream and local news. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.
Que nos ayude a pasar. Si solo vamos de pasada, no nos queremos quedar aquí.